Hello, I am making my favorite black bean dip today, and so I thought that maybe I would show you how I do it. I think I've told you before that I make a bean dip every week to put into my salads or my lunches every week. I usually like to put it inside the whole of the acorn squash, the butternut squash. But this is also delicious with chips. Actually, we're going to be having appetizer night, and so we will be making our own chips. So I'm going to make a nacho chips, which I will post the recipe for you for that later as well. And we'll be dipping that into our black bean dip. This is also really good to put in a layered taco dip or anything like that. Anyway, to get started, so I have 2 cans of organic black beans. I have a salsa or a picante. I have some cilantro, fresh cilantro, a lime, and an avocado. And then I'm going to put in some cumin just because we do like to have cumin in ours. So the first thing I'm going to do is I drained these. I didn't rinse them. If you like to rinse them, rinse them. These are organic. They do have added salt, so if you're trying to cut the salt, then you can always rinse the salt off. A couple more in there. So black beans are very high in fiber. That dark color shows you that there are some wonderful nutrients in there for you. We like all the different colors. We're going to be adding a half a cup of salsa. Salsa has processed tomatoes. So tomatoes are really good for you raw, and actually when they're processed or cooked, their lycopene is more concentrated, which is wonderful for men's health. Particularly, but for everyone's health. So we're going to be adding a half a cup of salsa. Choose whichever, I don't know what to call it, however hot it is that you like. We like the medium hot. I could make my own, but I did not today. I do have a garlic clove. I think I failed to mention that. And this one is a really fat one. I would usually do 2 or 3, but because this one's so big, I'm only going to use 1. So I'm cracking it first just so I can get the skins off. Once again, garlic is a superfood, antimicrobial, antifungal, and so we try to put it in everything. We will be eating this raw, and raw garlic is better for you than cooked garlic. And so right now, I am just going to let it sit here so that the allicin can form, the chemicals that provide all of those wonderful nutrients. Now I have our lime. I'm going to roll it a little bit just to loosen up some of those juices. Lime, very high in vitamin C. Eating it would be better for you than juicing it, but I'm not going to put a whole lime in there. I could process it in my Vitamix, I guess, and then the best nutrients in the citrus fruits is the white pith, or the part holding the flesh to the skin. That is where most of your nutrients are in citrus. It's the one part that kids like to pull off of oranges and things like that. Anyway, that is what's best for you. So when we juice it, we don't get those wonderful nutrients, but that's okay. And this is also going to help keep our avocado from changing color because of the high antioxidant content. So whenever I think you've probably noticed when you put lemon juice, sometimes you'll put lemon juice on some apples and things like that. Look at there. So I didn't show you what I did. So I just put my knife in, rolled the avocado around, and then twisted to open it up. This looks perfectly ripe. I was afraid it was a little bit not quite ready for us, but it is. Next, I'm going to press my knife into the pit and twist to pull that out. Now, there are a couple of different ways that you can scoop the avocado out. A lot of times people will get a spoon and just scoop it out, but I don't know if you can see on the camera, this dark green is where most of your nutrients are. Very, very good for you. So I've heard people say they don't want to eat avocados because they're so high in fat, but they are mostly fat for the fruit, but they're still very low in calories. And so these are so good for you, very high in fiber. I highly recommend that you eat avocados. All right, so what I'm going to do, because I want that dark green, instead of getting a spoon where I may miss that, I'm going to cut this half in half, so cut it into quarters. I should have brought a towel over because my hands are going to get a little slimy. And then I'm just going to peel it off. And luckily, this one is coming off very easily. You can see most of it's coming right out. Now I could use a spoon and just scrape it all, but I find this is pretty easy. And once again, I like to play with my food, so a little bit on my hands doesn't bother me. So I can just flip it right out. The whole thing came out. Oh, I'm so excited. This is just perfect in terms of ripeness. Throw that in. This one a little bit hung up there. Throw that in. I'm gonna grab the towel behind me to wipe my hands, and I can just put a clean towel up there later. All right, so next I have my cilantro. So I can eat the leaves and the stem, but I'm gonna cut that larger stem off, or just break it off with my fingers, pinch it. And if there are any wilted leaves, I will toss them out, but most of this looks pretty good. And we've used cilantro in some other dishes. If you've seen any of my other videos, you can follow me at Holistic Jen on YouTube or on my Facebook at Holistic Farms Outreach. If you go to my YouTube, please subscribe. The cilantro, very high in chlorophyll. We love this dark green. Everyone says eat your greens. Well, here we go. Cilantro is definitely a green packed with chlorophyll, high in minerals. It's also a great detoxifier. It helps to detoxify the metals from your body. So we are just going to pull those out. Got some tangled up in here. Pull some more stems off. I love this dip. I don't know what I love more, chips or dip. So maybe I'm making the dip so I can eat the chips. I don't know. I love black bean dip. Perfect snack. Very nutritious. Low in calories. Have our healthy fats packed with minerals. And we even have antimicrobial, antifungal, antiviral in our garlic. All right, so I'm just going to rough chop this. It's all going in the food processor. I don't think my cutting board is completely flat. All right, all of our cilantro is in. I'm going to put in a teaspoon of cumin. You can add chili powder. You could add paprika. Cumin just happens to be one of our favorites, so we're just putting cumin in here. And then I'm going to slice my garlic. All the cilantro leaves are stuck on my knife. First, I thinly slice it. Then I use the back of the knife to scrape so I don't dull the blade. And then I'm just going to rock and roll over the garlic. I remember seeing my grandmother do this years ago, and I was just in awe of how she chopped all of her garlic. Just back and forth, back and forth. Going to put it back in a line, make it nice and neat, and go back over it one more time. You don't have to be too precise because it is going into our food processor. Now, I probably should have processed the beans a little before I added everything. It might take us a few minutes to get it all blended well, since I've packed it so full. There we go. Now I'm going to put the top on, and I'll stop talking for a minute. I'm going to pulse a few times, and then I'm going to run it. All right, let's see what it looks like. If you like your dip chunky, you could stop now. See if you can see the texture I have here. And I think I want it a little bit smoother. I also want to make sure that my avocado was blended up. I think I saw a chunk of avocado. That avocado was just perfect. So it might not be too bad. If your avocado is not quite ripe enough, then you may have to chop it before you throw it in there. Okay, here we go again. All right, that looks good. I'm going to put it in this bowl so that I can slide everything out of my way. And then I'm going to show you a trick to get everything off of the blades. Scoop it all in here. So something else you could do is use this as a spread on a sandwich or on a wrap instead of mayonnaise. This is, once again, very, very healthy and filling, packed full of fiber, folate, all your minerals. But this would be great on a sandwich or a wrap with maybe a wrap and then the black bean dip and then maybe some avocado or some sprouts. Roll it all up, put a little bit of extra salsa or a slice of guacamole, and then dip it in some salsa. That sounds fabulous. Okay, so I got it out, but you can see there's still some on the bottom. So I learned this from Chef AJ. Don't know if you've seen her on YouTube or on Facebook. Anyways, turn it back on, and everything's going to shoot up on the sides, and then you can scrape it off easily. There we go. Just took a second. You can see the blades cleaned off, and it's going to be easy to scrape out. And unfortunately for me, I didn't get a chip out to taste it with, but here is our black bean dip. Oh, you can see a piece of avocado. I didn't blend really well. That'll be a nice surprise for somebody. I'll taste it with this measuring spoon. Delicious. A little bit of sweet, a little bit of salty. I can taste the cumin, the garlic. It's delicious. Enjoy!